The Fox 61 News at 6 starts now.
And right now, Hartford police said they are investigating multiple crimes that they said happened at yesterday's ICE protest and vigil that happened downtown for Renee Good. She's the woman who was shot by an ICE agent in Minneapolis earlier this week. Thank you for joining us here at 6 o'clock for the Fox 61 News. I'm Tim Lammers. Now, Hartford Mayor Arunan Arulampalam is calling for an investigation into what happened in Hartford, and police are trying to identify who is involved. Fox 61's Celine Arif shares what else we've learned.
Right now, police are looking into 3 people's actions from that protest. One who Hartford's mayor says used pepper spray on the crowd, one he says who hit a protester with their vehicle, and someone else the mayor says damaged that same vehicle by shattering a window. The mayor says he believes the person using pepper spray was, quote, in some way affiliated with the federal government.
The city and the Hartford Police Department were, after the protests, made aware of allegations of pepper spray being used, being deployed. The Hartford Police Department didn't themselves deploy pepper spray and weren't aware of the incident as it occurred.
Len Virula was one of the speakers at the protest, and she says she was one of the people who got sprayed.
As I'm walking towards the crowd, I'm sprayed. And now there's people pouring gallons of water in my eyes. All my clothes are soaked. Someone gave me this blanket. The firefighters gave me this blanket. Hartford police say there were about 10 to 12 uniformed officers working the protest, and they were also working a command center to keep an eye on the crowd. The mayor says about 200 people came to the protest, and it was mostly peaceful except for a small group. They don't believe anybody went to the hospital that night, including the person hit by the vehicle.
At one point, a group of attendees observed some federal employees exiting the rear of the building on the Sheldon Street side and attempted to obstruct their exit. One of those vehicles that we believe was driven by a federal employee made contact with a protester, knocking them to the ground.
The mayor says they're looking into these claims just like they would any other hit and run, assault case, and property destruction case. Adam Antar is with the Muslim Justice Center, one of the groups that supported the protest. He says the community needs to take something away from what happened here in Hartford.
I think that this poses an opportunity for us to look critically at what we as community members need to do in order to make sure that we are keeping ourselves safe.
The mayor shared the Department of Homeland Security is working on their own investigation into what happened at the protest, but says they won't share any information with the city until the investigation wraps up. In Hartford, Celine Arif, Fox 61.
Now, regarding that protester who you heard Hartford's mayor said tried to block that vehicle as it was leaving the building from the Sheldon Street side, they have not said whether that person could face charges and what, if any, role they played in how this all escalated. So we're still working to get clarification on that. Investigators said they're still working to sort out exactly who did what and in what order. And today, U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal and Governor Ned Lamont held a press conference to speak about those protests. Blumenthal said he believes the protests have been mostly peaceful, with the exception of the violence that took place last night.
You have a First Amendment right to protest, demonstrate, express your views peacefully without interfering with others. And that is by and large what we have seen throughout Connecticut. When people use violence, they undermine their cause. They play into the hands of authoritarian dictators.
Senator Blumenthal emphasized the importance of peaceful protests, saying it is the protesters' obligation to remain peaceful. And at the same time, we just got new video from the perspective of the ICE agent, Jonathan Ross. His cell phone video showed the moments leading up to when he shot and killed Renee Good Wednesday in Minneapolis. Asher Red breaks down that video and why federal and state officials are still at odds over how to move forward with the case.
Fox has obtained the cell phone video by the officer who shot Renee Nicole Good. This as protests continued coast to coast Friday, 2 days after the deadly shooting.
No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here.
The 37-year-old mother was killed by an ICE officer shortly after dropping her 6-year-old off at school, sparking outrage nationwide.
That violent act did not happen in a vacuum. It happened in a political moment where ICE has been emboldened, shielded from accountability, and unleashed on our communities with impunity.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey pleading for the ongoing investigation to be transparent after the Trump administration denied state and local officials access to the probe.
This is not a time to hide from the facts. This is a time to embrace them.
This as the Department of Homeland Security announced ICE agents have seen an unprecedented increase in vehicular attacks, up a whopping 3,200% over the past year. The Trump administration pointing to the numbers as evidence the ICE agent was acting in self-defense.
If you're that agent, you're at the hood of that car, you don't know who's inside, you don't know what their intentions are, you know that other ICE agents have been rammed or attempted to be rammed before, you did the only thing you can do in that situation. So again, the result was awful, but it was certainly legal.
And although the FBI is leading this investigation, Minneapolis officials are encouraging the public to turn over any evidence that may be relevant, particularly videos. In Minneapolis, Asher Red, Fox 61.
And we will continue to bring you any and all developments from Minneapolis and the response from our communities. You can find the latest coverage on fox61.com or on Fox 61 Plus.
Well, hi, everybody. You know, we do have temperatures that are above freezing across all of northwest Connecticut. That's good news because we do have some showers rolling on by as we speak. 47 in Middletown, 44 Branford, to 46 in New Haven. So you see mild temperatures. Boy, we've lost our snowpack in a big way over the last couple of days with our January thaw. And we could thank this southerly wind, too, especially today, 5 to 15 miles per hour. And here comes another band of showers. Most of this rain is light, although I do notice just to the west of Danbury there, a little moderate cluster moving into the region. This is just a weak frontal system, and this is not a big deal. Here's sort of the second front rolling on by. So we'll get the showers out of the way during the next couple of hours. Otherwise, partial clearing overnight. Lows will bottom out in the 30s. Highs tomorrow will average in the 40s. And yes, we will have that rain developing mid to late afternoon. Now, coming up, I'll detail how much rain when it comes to an end and what you can expect into the middle of January. How long will these warm temperatures last? Details coming up in a few minutes. Tim?
Sam, thank you. Did Michelle Troconis get effective legal advice at a critical moment? That question was front and center today in court, as Troconis is looking for a whole new trial after being convicted of conspiracy to commit murder in the death of Jennifer Farber Dulos 6 years ago. Now, day 2 of Troconis' habeas trial unfolded in Vernon, where her former defense attorney returned to the stand. Let's get out to Fox 61's Alicia Hercules. She joins us live from Vernon with more on today's testimony.
Tim, today, Troconis' former defense attorney continued to explain his reasoning for advising her to do multiple interviews with the police.
Is there a point early in the second interview where it became clear the police still didn't think Michelle was telling the truth?
Yes.
Andy Bowman, Troconis' former attorney, returned to the stand. Troconis' team argued that she was not given effective counsel when she was first arrested. She claimed she was never told of the potential repercussions of speaking with the police. On the stand, Michael Brown, Troconis' attorney, questioned why Bowman didn't stop her second interview with police when it became clear they didn't believe her.
I didn't think that stopping the interview while the police thought she was lying was a good thing to do. The last impression that she leaves as a liar, I thought that was against her interest.
Troconis was interviewed by investigators 3 separate times after she was arrested in 2019 in connection with the disappearance of Jennifer Farber Dulos. Between those 3 interviews, Troconis' recollection of events significantly changed when describing the morning of Dulos' disappearance. Bowman testified that he sent Troconis to a neuropsychologist's office to explore if she was misremembering the events or lying.
What was the intended purpose of that evaluation, if you recall?
To see whether she had any cognitive or other deficit that could account for her definitively saying that Botus was at Fort Jefferson on the morning of May 24th.
He said he met with Troconis frequently and reminded her to tell the truth when speaking with investigators. He also said he informed her that cooperation agreements would be null and void if she lied. Richard Coangelo Jr., the state's attorney for the Judicial District of Stamford and Norwalk in 2019, also took the stand. He testified that he told Bowman that Troconis could be charged with accessory to murder and that it would be in her best interest to speak with police.
He said that we really want to hear what she has to say. We'd like her to cooperate. I remember saying that now's their time to either get on the bus or get run over by the bus. She really should talk to us and tell us the truth.
Attorney Brown also asked Colangelo if Bowman requested any protections for Troconis prior to her first interview, to which he answered no. The next trial date will be next Friday. Live in Vernon, Alicia Hercules, Fox 61.
Danbury police said they know who shot and killed a man Wednesday, and now they're trying to find him. They said David Grulon is the man who fired a gun through the wall of his townhouse on Lake Avenue, killing his next-door neighbor, Victor Quispe. And here's a picture of Grulon. If you have any other information that could help the Danbury police, they asked you to contact them, and they did stress you can remain anonymous. A state trooper has resigned and been charged with a crime after being accused of lying about a car crash. Police said back in October, 28-year-old trooper Samantha Stella was driving distracted and hit a pole with her cruiser. But they said Stella reported to her sergeant that she was hit by a small black car on I-84, which drove away. Stella was arrested yesterday and charged with falsely reporting an incident. She's due in court later this month. Well, 4 Hartford high school students face charges after police said they got into a fight at school this morning, and one teacher was hospitalized, although they are expected to be okay. Police said the fight happened at New Vision School, and the school had to go into a brief lockdown. It's still not clear what led up to it, but we are working to learn more information.